Alright, so we are doing the Leonardo da Vinci. This is kind of like the rough draft that we're going to do in crayon, just so you guys can practice the shading before you guys start painting, because when you start painting, it's two different things that you have to master, both the shading and the paint, which is a little bit harder to control than just using a crayon. So I'm going to go dark to light. I'm going to start filling these areas in and try to keep it in the same movement as the lines. And I might come back in here and add some black later, but I'm going to just kind of, so her hair is going this way, so we're just going to keep doing this. And then this is kind of like tied, so there's some round elements here. So again, has a little bit of highlight. You can also adjust the darkness by how hard you guys are pressing down. There's some line here, and there's just kind of, she's got like this edge around her face to define it. And I think doing this can also help you guys with your self-portraits too. So I'm going to come in here and just start getting some of this shading in. This side of her face is really dark. And then it starts to soften up right here. And there's this dark area under her chin. There's a little bit of reflected light here. And then right here is a pretty solid block of shadow, and it kind of has a little bit of a highlight in between right here and right here, where it gets dark again. It's harder to be as soft as we'll be able to be with the paint with crayon, but you guys will just start getting the gist of it. It's easier to make mistakes with the paint, and sometimes those can be a little bit harder to fix. Get some really soft shadows in here. There's this really faint line that defines her eyebrow. Sorry if I start talking really quietly. I've noticed that when I'm concentrating, it's hard for me to speak up. And there's this dark area where her eyelid kind of pops out a little bit. I didn't get this line very dark, but it'll be okay. This needs to be defined. We'll have to go back in a little bit and correct some things. This line under her nose. And then her mouth has been something that I've had a lot of students have issues with, so I think that by kind of practicing here, you can kind of start figuring out these shapes. The way that her face is tilted makes it a little bit harder, but we'll figure it out. There's this really nice shape here where her chin rounds out, and then it kind of gets sharper right there. Okay, so now that I've sort of gotten the basic structure of her face, I'm going to come back in with some lighter colors. I'm going to go to the next lighter tone that I have and start trying to get some of these softer values in. This is an interesting shape. Kind of messed up a little bit right here. There would be, the highlight would be brought up further. I'll try to correct that, but it's not a big deal on this one. And that's what's sort of defining the nostril. There's this bridge of her nose. And you guys can use whatever colors you want. I was kind of trying to stick with the ones that we'll be using in our paintings, but you guys don't have to. You guys can have like a little bit more fun with this. So this is just a practice, a way for you guys to start figuring the face out before you have to do it with paint. It's just a little bit more helpful. And then this shadow, I just noticed, definitely needs to come down here. And if you do it like the cross-hatching like I'm doing right now, it's good to try to keep like the planes of her face, like it's coming down and over. It just kind of helps the movement. Let's see if I can darken it up with this without using black. I'm going to use the yellow for some really soft areas of highlight. And try to keep the areas that are completely free of, like where the strongest light highlights are, just white. Add some more. So what you're doing is making something that is supposed to be three-dimensional and translating it onto a three-dimensional surface. So if you can really get these shadows down, then you'll make it look a lot more realistic. I'm not super worried about her hair. I just want this shape. So right now there is this highlight that's pretty major right here of her cheekbone, and then there's also a light here, and then there's actually a lot more lightness here. I kind of overdid that a little bit, and then this wraps up and back all the way over here. I think I can make this a little bit darker. It's brown. But you guys can play around with this, and like I said, you can use whatever colors you want. Wondering if you can put charcoal on top of. Nope, you can't. You guys can also, if you want to, use the black. I think it kind of makes it look really messy, so there's other options, like just layering color will start to create this darkness. Like this blue is casting a really nice dark with the brown to make these really dark lines pop. And then this is probably a really good idea to use like something that's complementary around the outside of her face. Really make her face pop from the paper and what's behind her. But just play around with it and do whatever colors you want. Like I said, there's really not a right or a wrong, as long as you have the shading down and you feel pretty confident on how her face works. If you pay attention when you're drawing, you're not just like coloring in lines. You're noticing how this part of her lip curves back right here where her cheek is, and where all these darker lines are from the shadows. If you guys pay close attention to that, I promise that you'll have so much of an easier time when you're starting to work with paint, which is, it makes it definitely more complicated than working with crayon. Obviously, because this is not as serious of a piece, so it kind of gives you guys room for error. It's kind of fun, but just pay attention to what you're doing. And also, if any of y'all want to come by the zoo sometime, if you have questions or want some like one-on-one help, I don't have a problem with you guys coming down there. It's really big and well ventilated, so I could work with you guys one-on-one, and you can kind of see what's going on there if you're interested. But that is going to be like where I leave off, and obviously I could keep going for a long time, but this is, I really want you guys to at the very least get as far as I just did. I think that you could obviously really take it a lot further and have fun with it. It's kind of relaxing and meditative, but at least get this far where you have like her lips shaded with the highlights, her nose, her eyelids highlighted and shaded. Make things pop and look three-dimensional, and have fun with it. And make sure that you're paying attention, because this is going to help you so much when you guys are doing the painting. I'm going to do the demo for tomorrow. Alright, have fun, guys. And I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see it right side up. That is the image that I have right now, and it looks pretty close to the picture. So, alright, y'all have fun doing it.